Your vacation isn't just calling, it's begging you to take it to Branson and spend time on one of the 3 beautiful lakes, entertain it in a live show, and make sure it gets a good night's sleep in one of the nice, cozy beds in Branson. Hi, and welcome to Mid-South Viewpoint. I'm Byron Tyler, along with my co-host, Lynn Berry from ExploreBranson.com. Right. Lynn, we are back together. We're here in Branson.
It was last Christmas, and so much has happened since then.
What's been going on with you since then?
Well, you know, we have so many projects that are on tap right now, and so they will open some of them later this fall. That is the Social Birdie. It's kind of a combination of Top Golf and pickleball.
Wow.
Yeah, you'll be looking for that one.
And pickleball's the new sensation, the new fad going on right now.
It is.
Wait a minute. Listen. I hear some trumpets. There's some fanfare. Wait a minute. Royalty is in the room.
That is correct.
Queen Esther is here.
We bow.
Emily Baker from Sight and Sound Theater and the newest production of Sight and Sound, Queen Esther. Emily, welcome to Bot Radio Network.
Thank you so much for having me.
Or should I say,
today.
Your Highness?
No need. No need.
Oh, first of all, there's something I discovered that you are a graduate of the Sight and Sound Conservatory.
Yes.
I didn't even know such existed.
Yes.
So what is Sight and Sound Conservatory?
So it's a really awesome program that they have out in the Lancaster location of Sight and Sound, and it's basically a schooling program where students will take classes, and they'll also have the opportunity to be in the shows as well. So you get to learn alongside the teachers. So the cast members are teachers.
Wow.
And it's an incredible opportunity. I was in it back in 2015, and it was just an incredible opportunity.
Well, you mentioned Sight and Sound. That's where it all began. And you mentioned Lancaster Sight and Sound, where it began. A few slide projectors, a man's passion for his creativity and sharing God's nature and beauty.
That's right.
And Glenn Eshelman was the vision. And now we have Sight and Sound not only in Lancaster but in Branson. And all these years later, and all the stage performances. I mean, is really Sight and Sound 50 years old?
I think so.
Oh, it was the 1970s. And you know, Shirley Eshelman has always said, Glenn is the gas and she's the brakes.
You know, I see that. You got to have some brakes, right? Well, Queen Esther is the newest Sight and Sound theater experience, which is set in the Persian Empire. Queen Esther is captivating tale of beauty and bravery. And the story is, and has inspired so many, Emily. When did you first remember reading the story of Esther in the Bible?
Wow. I'm sure I read it as a little girl. I don't know if I have a specific memory, but I know for sure being young and thinking, wow, Esther was exactly that, just so courageous and so brave to do some really scary things.
And we look at today, looking at role models for our young ladies. I mean, what a role model, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Something I love about Esther is that her identity is so rooted in Christ, and she was called to do something really, really crazy, and I don't think she felt equipped for that, but it just nails down the idea that God will equip the people he calls. Yes. And I love to have the opportunity to tell that story to audiences, but especially young girls, to be like, that God will equip you to do what he's called you to do. You just have to obey and walk in it, and he will equip you.
I love that. Well, take us behind the set, if you would. How much planning, stage design, technical creation, preparing the crew, actor auditions, did it take to really bring Queen Esther to the stage?
So for most of Sight and Sound shows, they take about 2 to 3 years to produce from start to finish. So that's the original idea all the way to the curtain going up. The cast comes in about 2 months before we open. So we get the scripts around November, and then we open in March, and we start rehearsals in the middle of January. So we have about 8 weeks to kind of nail the thing down before putting it up on stage.
Any obstacles or challenges to get to where you are right now?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for me, honestly, the journey that I was just talking about God equipping the people he calls, it was a challenge, and it was a journey for me to trust that I would be able to do it, but that God would give me what I needed. Like, I had to change my perspective and be like, it's not about me and what I can do, because I knew I couldn't do it.
Right.
I needed the Lord to equip me. So that was honestly a really great journey for me to go on.
What do you think the story of Queen Esther is such a right now for the time we're in today,
Yep.
and especially in line of the sight and sound performances? Why Esther for today, you think?
That's a great question. So the story of Esther is really one where her world is in chaos. So many things are happening, but she has to fight the whole time to stay still, to be still, and to know the truth, and to be ready to move when God told her to move.
Yes.
And I think that that is so relatable
It is.
for the world that
Yes.
we're in right now.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Well, we've got to talk about one of the cast members, Florence.
Yes, yes.
This is the most unusual cast member. So
Yes.
tell me about Florence.
Florence is our elephant. And yes, she is not a real elephant.
Now, don't
She
you
is-
ride Florence?
Yes, I do. I do.
Love it.
Yes. So she's a robotic. It's animatronic. It's incredible technology, way above my pay grade to try to explain to you. But all I can say is it looks so real, and it's one of my favorite parts. And I will say, even riding it, now I've never ridden a real elephant, so I can't speak to that. But to me, it feels real. Like
Yeah.
this, like if I were to imagine riding an elephant, it would feel like this. Because up top, it actually has a sway to it.
There's 90 axis of motion with her.
Amazing.
Yes.
And there's that realness, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So
it's incredible.
That makes it so much fun.
Yeah.
And I know that the technology of that probably was created by the Sight and Sound creative staff.
Yes.
Because I remember when Moses was created, there was a
Yes.
need for the snake to do something
Yes.
special.
Yes.
And they even sent it out to California to have their special effects teams to
Yep.
do it, and they couldn't do it.
That's right.
But somebody in your shop did.
That's right. Yeah.
And it did work.
Yes. Yeah. That was a miracle for sure. God really came through for that one.
Okay.
Beautiful.
What do you enjoy most about being Queen Esther, Emily?
I think my favorite part is the very end of the show when I get to come out and actually just speak to the audience directly. Lots of times we don't get the opportunity to do that, but that's my favorite part because this show, it's so big, it's so vast, but what you see is that God is in every detail of the show and of that story. And so my favorite part is getting to walk out at the end and look the audience in the eyes and say, this story, the way that you see Yahweh in the details of this story, he has that for you, and you are not alone. And so that is my
Wow.
favorite part.
Very moving. Very
I
moving.
love that. And
Yes.
I think that's really what compels, or what's so compelling, rather, about Sight and Sound, because it is moving to one of the greatest messages ever told to humankind, the message of Jesus Christ coming to deliver us. And all Sight and Sound productions lead up to that, Miss
That's
Lynn.
right.
And,
That's
and so
right.
that's what's so beautiful,
Yeah.
that an opportunity to enter into this relationship with Christ is always presented
Yes.
at the end of every performance.
Yep, yeah. I mean, we see it in the Bible all the way through. Everything points to Jesus, and so we're telling these Bible stories, and they all point to Jesus.
Yeah.
That's it.
Emily, on a personal note, what's your favorite summertime activity in Branson?
Aha.
The lake. A boat on the lake. That is my favorite
That's
summer
your-
activity. We will get a whole bunch of friends together and we'll rent a boat from one of the local marinas and we will go out on the lake for 8 hours. Fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
We
Favorite
are
part.
blessed with those pristine lakes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Well, if we want to get tickets, show times for Queen Esther, what do we need to know?
All you have to do is go to sight-sound.com and all the information will be there for you.
That's right.
Emily Baker, Queen Esther of Sight and Sound, the newest production here in Branson. Thank you so much for joining Bot Radio Network.
Thank you so much for having me today.